Hello. Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. All in the nick of time today. So
Just
that
in the
is
nick of
absolutely
time.
awesome.
Terrible to be busy. Terrible to be
I
busy.
know
What do
it's
you think?
terrible. It's a terrible thing to have happened, but that's all good though, isn't it? Because today's, in fact, Mr. Doctor Future State, Shay, if you'd like to do the intro.
Okay, let me do the intro, right? If you insist, Jason, right? So today, as you know, this is a live session that we're doing that all about the systems and the soft side of sales and how you bring them together and build a really strong sales strategy. So we're taking it in bite-sized chunks, and we've talked about the strategy in a previous session. And today we're going to talk about the first part of the funnel, the prospect funnel, and the importance of getting this right. Because, Jason, this to me is where you either make a lot of money or lose a lot of money and spend a lot of time chasing or developing leads that are just going to go nowhere and going to escalate your cost of sales. So I find this one of the most, first of all, one of the most difficult parts of sales to get right, because there's no one size fits all, right? But
Right.
also when you get it working, it helps build the whole rest of the funnel for you. So to open it up, Jason, so if I was to ask you just some from your experience, like what do you see people doing wrong with the prospect funnel?
Funny enough, I just wrote a few ideas before we came on board. I think it's a trust thing, and it's not a wish list. Some people go in there and they throw everything up there, and they've made a conversation with someone, but they haven't really asked the questions. They haven't really been curious enough to find out what the problem is to it. And as soon as they've had an email or a conversation, they whack it straight in there, and
Mm.
it's they put it up to 80% close rate. Is going to happen in November, but really, that's a wish list. It's not a honesty list. I think you should have that honesty bucket where you just throw money in and go, well, this is actually going to happen, or it's not going to happen. And I think you have to be quite strategic about going to yourself, but with your manager and managers, just to say, look, have a number to it or a percentage to it, like Salesforce or all the other CRMs out there would give you either a color or something that's going to dominate to say where you are in the process, because we understand it is a complete process to go, let's have a look at this. And I think where people go wrong is not knowing where they actually are in the process of the pipeline and the overall goal and the overall strategy. So I think it has to be taken away, and it has to be started from scratch and really understood and make it apparent, to make it with the team and have that around the team. So this understand the parameters of a prospect, understanding the different layers of what goes in, finding the latest opportunities, really understand who the opportunities actually are. Are they real? If they're just on the wish list, if they're just a fantasy one, you've had a conversation, you met them at a convention,
Mm.
conference, or something like that, but it's not really there yet, though, is it? It until you get that agreement frame going that something's going to happen, then you go on to the parameters of really putting it into the pipeline. But there's lots of other stuff in there.
Yeah,
So
but
what do you think about this?
well, I think it's a really interesting point that you brought up, because it's not a lead. Like one of the first things I do with my clients is to talk about, well, define the word lead for your business, right?
Yeah.
And when I asked them, what does a lead mean for your business? They don't know. And they ask me, what should it be? And I go, well, I don't know either. We have to build that view of a lead. What does a lead look like for your business? Will we get it right in the beginning? No. But the whole point is to develop a set of criteria, Jason, that we can say, well, this is what
Absolutely.
we think a lead based on the customer cohort that we have at the moment. These are like, even if you think about the word avatar, we build our avatars of what we think a lead looks like. Then we go, where do these people hang out? And you talk about, well, you go to these networking events, you go to these seminars, like whatever, and then online, offline, wherever. Then when you start talking to them is when you can sort of like clarify there? Can you flush them? And that's why I always say the next thing is flushing
I
them.
like the word flush. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
you
good word.
flush, because it's all about like demand capture or lead generation, and then it's about flushing those leads. And there's a set of criteria, and I know this is the process coming out, Jason, but when I started this for the first time myself, this is the only thing I knew. I had to learn very, very quickly, is this someone I should work with and put time in, or is this someone that I'm going to waste time with? And trust me, when I was working for myself, Jason, and I had a team of people working for me, I didn't have time to waste. And I didn't have time to waste on leads that weren't going to have a high chance of turning into a sale. Because then I was missing out. Like, even though that's a cost in itself, Jason, right? That's a huge
It
cost of
is
wasted time and effort. But you know what the real
exactly what I was
cost is?
thinking of.
But you know what the real cost is, Jason? I'm not spending that time with people I really believe I can do business with. That for me is the real cost.
I always like to say, what's the best use of my time right now? Because you can get, it is a lot of money, time, and effort. So you and I both understand, like, being self-employed, what's the best use of our time right now? And how can we focus our attention on the customers that need our attention, as opposed to the customers that just wasting our time. We call them back and nothing ever happens. So you think there are 75% chance of closing, but really in realistic terms, you're calling them being very persistent. Being very persistent is a very good thing to have, but in the right sense. If you can actually know that there is a challenge, or if you're adding value to the client, or if you found their pain, or whatever it might be, then the conversation can carry on, and then there's a collaboration carrying on, and then you can just go, okay, who else do I need to bring into the conversation here? If there is marketing, we bring the marketing in. If there's projects or whoever
Technical,
might be involved in technical, but that's money, that's time, that's effort. Are we spending the most time? So I think it's how can we use and utilize this to protect the account, but make sure that we use and utilize it so there is a well-formed outcome at the end of it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Because to me, like, one of the biggest costs in business is the cost of sales, Jason. Like, and I think that's something that needs to be managed specifically. So and again, I'm not trying to judge or stereotype people. Like, salespeople want to be knocking on doors all the time, right? That's what they want to do. They don't really care for like updating systems or whatever, because they feel that's a waste of time. That doesn't equate to money for them, so they don't do it. So it's very hard to get good data. So I try to work very early and strong in this part of them to help them see how it does relate to money for them, so they can channel their efforts and build that set of criteria. Because one thing I do, I create sort of a live document with them, Jason, and it's all about continuous review. And I said, I don't know, I have a good idea what some of the stuff is going to be in this document just from experience, but then there's going to be the very specific stuff related to their business, their teams, their potential customers that we have to create for them, that's tailored for them. And that will tell them, because once they see that, they know, well, you know what, I'm not going to focus on that core, I'm going to focus on, because I know there's a better chance of me getting a deal here. Once they see that, it works really well. But that's a journey document that works through it, because like the better you can work this document, and it's like I call it an inquiry form, Jason, right?
Good idea.
Because it starts off fact finding, right? Looking for the customer's problems or prospects' problems, right? Can you solve them, right? So capturing them, knowing that you have that's one element of that document, right? Then it's, well, how can you fix those problems, right? You know all the problems, and then how are you gonna build on that going forward? And it's quite detailed. But here's the thing: when you go further down, and then you've done all this hard work, Jason, and then you put in your proposal and you don't get the order, and then you ask for feedback, and they go, well, you missed something that's important to my business. That means your inquiry form wasn't correct, or you didn't fill it in correct, and therefore, how do you close that going forward? Because it's like, the Apprentice, the show, when the teams are set a challenge, there's about 10 things on it, and one team gets fired, and then when this Alan Sugar is calling out, well, We asked you to do 10 things, you only did 4, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You
Like,
missed you missed the criteria.
you missed the criteria, and that's, you spend all this time just to lose it at the last hurdle, like, and that to me is such waste in sales.
It's one of those things that the funnel, and I always like visual because I'm quite a visually orientated person. So when you have a look at the visuals and what's actually in the pipeline, what it is, it's a helpful document. It's there to enable you just to go, well, what can we do to shorten the sales cycle? Is there, as you suggested already, Shay, it's if you covered all the bases up to 10 or 5 or whatever the strategy is for the particular client, is I know when I work and now I train in this area of building the funnel and looking at the funnel, is it's there to improve your winning odds. It's not a losing odds, it's there to help you. So it should be an engagement, it should be a conversation with your group, with your team, which is real, what's not real. What can we do to help you win more often all the time? It could actually be a training document or coaching document or something that was going to enable the salesperson to go, well, as we already said, spend less time here. That's not going to happen right now, is it? How realistic is it? Are we just energy focus in the wrong area as opposed to focusing on the right area where we can actually have improve the odds of winning, improve the odds of increasing your sales ratio from 50% to 60% or 70%. So you get that feedback loop, exactly what you said.
Yeah, and that's it, Jason. Like when I started out, like I worked off a 5% rule. So that was make 100 calls, get 20 meetings, get 5 sales. I Googled that in 2007, right? January was it the 6th? I can't remember, 2007, my first day. I Googled, well, where do I start? Right.
Yeah.
So then I said, well, I have to find leads. But as I started learning the process and going through, and like you mentioned the word feedback there, to me, that's one of the most important words in sales, right? Because when I broke down the funnel into its lower level tasks, right? So I might have 7 tasks in lead generation, 5 tasks in opportunity flushing, and then like proposals, another 5, right? So I had created this linear as best I could, because it's not always linear, all the different activities. And I'd end up meeting a hurdle at one of them, Jason. So then I had to learn, how do we get over the hurdle? That was my feedback. So next time I do work with a client or a prospect, I wouldn't make that mistake, or I'd make something better. And once I got through the whole funnel, Jason, using this feedback, my conversions went from 5% up to 70+% in the space between 12 months and 18 months, Jason. By the time, like, literally, this is starting from 0.
But that's a
like,
good learning curve for you.
Huge.
It's a massive thing to actually, and especially when you're working for yourself, you really have to learn the process inside out. This is something that not really a bugbear. I think we might have discussed this before, is when you work for yourself, you're self-employed, you're self-generating. But people that are working for companies, I always suggest that you are self-employed. You have that mindset and that fixed mindset that you are self-employed, or that growth mindset that you are self-employed, because whatever you earn, you got to justify everything. You got to justify your basics. You got to justify all these fancy gadgets that you have to help you, the sales forces and all these CRMs and these lovely fluffy things that you have. Think about how much revenue you can earn by shortening the sales cycle, by helping you, enabling yourself to get better at what you do. And that's part of the funnel. It is feedback, or feed forward, should I say. You look at what you've done and then you feed it forward to go, I need to improve there. How can I shorten it? How can I make this company better? How can I make them more revenue? But also, how can I make the company more revenue? But also, how can I satisfy myself by making myself revenue and justify my existence?
But that's it, Jason. And here's the thing. The other thing I learned, like from working for myself, I love how you said that, Jason, like about working for yourself, that mindset, because there's nothing more motivating than a need to do something, right? I needed, I had no choice. So I'm in a different mindset straight away. I have to make this work. I have to figure it out. So you're thrown in at the deep end, and you have to learn to sink or swim. That's your choice. If you're protected in a business, you don't have the same level. So I totally get your point. But to your point as well about what you said, I think is really important, is to reduce that sales cycle, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because here's the thing, and this is what people don't realize. 3 things happen when you reduce the sales cycle, right? One is you get sales quicker. That's the first one, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Second of all, you've done less work to get sales. So your
Absolutely.
cost of sales comes in, right? But here's the other thing. Then your lead time to payment gets quicker, right?
Yep.
So that's better cash flow. So that's 3 things. And then, Jason, what I always do on the other side, which is not related to sales, is I work on operations. So the delivery is better. So that means their profits are higher too. But just if we keep it to sales, those 3 things happens just by shortening the sales cycle. And I say shorten, I don't mean rush it. I mean, do it as fast as can without rushing your prospect through the cycle.
I was actually thinking while we were speaking, this is the time of year where people are rushing through the sales cycle because we're coming up to that silly season again, which is Christmas. And we know here in Ireland that things tend to slow down between the 15th, 16th, 17th, the week running up towards Christmas. Everyone is in panic mode because they want to hit the end of the quarter. They want to hit everything else. But really, if your pipeline is correct this time of year, you should already have those ready to close and ready to pop and ready to go, because you don't want to be into the mindset of being hassle. You don't want to be the hassle salesman that goes, I want to be here giving you value. I want to be here rewarding you for thanking for all of the sales that you've given the company or me or whatever. I'm going to reward you and say thank you for everything. I'm not here, just leave you alone in your own headspace and make you have your break. But everything should be pre-planned and pre-organized up until that within the pipeline. And there's less stress for the salespeople. As we can see, your hair's falling off and my hair's gone a bit gray around the outside, but we don't want that to give that to our customers.
Exactly. But you're right. It has to be a proactive funnel. It can't be a reactive. And there's a time, it takes time to get there. When you're starting out, it's all like push. But there's a point in time that push should become pull, because you should have generated so many leads that turn into customers that then turn into repeat customers, Jason. So again, I know we're not talking about the after sales here. We'll come to that to another. But the whole point is to ensure that that customer isn't just a one-off customer, a one-time customer, that they are a repeat customer. And that starts, and people think the after sales process starts after sales. I say, no, it doesn't. That starts from the very first time you meet your prospect and building that rapport, that relationship, that when you say you're going to do this amazing work and you build that rapport, then you have to do what you say, and then some, right? So then there's no question that there's going to be a repeat sale, because your work is going to prove, you're going to prove that you're trustworthy. You said this is what you're going to do. You did it, and you did a bit more. And I call that the wow factor when we do that. And then that relationship, that phase 1 of that relationship solidified.
Yeah, it's the touch points along the way.
Yeah.
That's why I was going there with my fingers. I don't know if you saw that. No, it wasn't the John Cena moment there, but it was the touch points there to incorporate and build on those relationships, because you spent so much time, and my phone should have been switched off there. But
is that a sales call, Jason?
Yeah, I think it is a sales call, and maybe I should have answered that, but I think this is quite important. That client and that customer, I will get back to them straight away, because it's all about trust. It's all about saying what you're going to do and getting their credibility in you, that you're a trusted advisor, that we can work together and we collaborate together. But that's all the first touch points that you have within a new relationship. But within the process of building that pipeline, obviously the existing customers is got to be nurtured. It's got to be worked with really well. And again, within that pipeline, that strategy's got to be done as well, and how that's going to be working with the whole approach to what we're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like because see, there's so many, like getting the sale is just phase one of the funnel, Jason. It's phase one, the successful phase one. And you don't leave that customer, So like, and they go back to, and I've seen this in industry where salespeople are only sort of motivated for brand new sales. So they miss things naturally because they've just got that card on the stick and that's short term. So two
Yeah.
things they miss, Jason, right? One is like when you're making that opportunity flushing, there's three decisions, right? There's no sale, there's
Yep.
buy now, but also buy later, right? So that's one thing where a lot of people miss. So they go into another part of a funnel, right? But then also when you get the sale, and then, well, what's next with that customer? How do you bring them on a journey? Because two things then happen, Jason. First of all, you want to do more work to completely solidify that you can
Mm,
rinse and repeat this all the way through. And you're not just their supplier in something, you become their partner. You become their
absolutely.
extended partner, their business, and you do above and beyond. You don't just give them a product or a service, you problem solve with them, right? So that's the
Absolutely.
element that you do. And then along with that, Jason, once you've proven yourself a few times, then you open up avenues like the referral model. You start
Yep.
talking about, like, that I can do this for you. Do you know any other people that I can really support that you think need help? And then over time, they open their network. And they're the
Absolutely.
things that people miss, Jason.
I think it's those incremental steps to being. Do you just want to be one of the many people out there that they ring up when they want quotes? Do you want to be that sort of person, or do you want to be the person that is a little bit more in the circle? They call you when there is a challenge or when they want to work something out within the organization, but they know that they can rely on you to say, Jason, would you mind helping us out here? Because we have an issue, challenge here with our staff or whatever you have. And then you can become a collaborative partner with them. You work smartly with them, and then you can share the plans. I was looking into white spaces. It's really understanding the process of all the products and services that you actually have with that you have to offer, but maybe stuff that you can actually offer with a client. So you go through strategically. You can spend a day on this or half a day with your team and white space the whole of the account if it's a bigger account. But if they are that trusted partner, you can share it with them. Say, look, we've had come up some ideas for the next year. We'd love to share and see what your input is and
Hmm.
how we can work together, and so we can offer more value to your company than what we're actually doing right now.
Absolutely, Jason. And that's the proactive bit that we've been talking about. You're not just sitting there, give them the odd phone call just to keep in touch and then expect more business. No, you need to be proactive and saying, how else can I better this relationship? And
Yeah.
that's something that I like, again, working for myself, Jason. Like, and I don't like the word using the easiest sales in the game is from repeat customers. No, I don't like that because you
No,
have to
no,
work damn hard to
you do.
keep that customer. But I know that the best way is to develop new business with existing clients. And you do that by being a proactive problem solver, server to them, and help them. And that's how you do that. Why would they want do so much that they don't want? Even if you're like 30-40% more expensive than the competition, they won't even entertain open the door because they cannot live without you because you've shown yourself and you show that you're part of their extended business.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's that trustworthiness, your humbleness, but also that bit of vulnerability there as well, because people connect with that. Because sometimes everyone thinks they're a big superstar and they're like this, that, and the other, but you need a bit of personality behind yourselves. And you need to show a little bit of vulnerability every now and then. I don't mean crying your eyes out, but you know what I mean by that. It's
Hmm.
just showing a bit of like sincerity. Like things don't always necessarily go to plan on either side of it. But I'm sure if you just show them that like things are not necessarily going to plan, but let's have a look at how we can solve this together. And I
Hmm.
think that's what I mean by a little bit of vulnerability. I think we're almost hitting the witching hour for us actually for 25 minutes. Any last minute thoughts, Shay?
Last minute thoughts. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the few people that joined. Liga, she's a great lady. I'm being connected with her for a long time. you know, and she's got great stuff. She works with a great doctor with amazing and does amazing stuff. And then Gabe, like, thank you for your shout outs for the
Yeah.
live streams. Really appreciate it. And welcome, Miguel. I hope we're sharing some good content that will serve you, you know. So with that, closing thoughts, Jason, right? So one thing, like I'm gonna ask you one thing. What is the one thing that you think people should do, like starting off this prospect funnel? What's the one top? I know there's a million, right? But like, what's one thing that you would offer as advice to people starting out on their journey with the
Be
prospect funnel?
honest with yourself.
Yeah.
There's lots of different facets behind that. Just number one, just be honest. I think that's the number one key thing. And that's with yourself. And then that will relate to everyone else.
Yeah, brilliant. No, and I totally agree. The best salespeople will always be the honest ones, Jason. It's not the ones that are looking to serve their needs. When they serve their customers' needs, they serve their own, right? It's a consequence. Mine one is a little bit similar, Jason, and it's all about building trust, like, and solving problems, helping.
Absolutely.
Go in with a
That's
helping.
three things, Shay. That
Sorry,
you only have to add one.
Did I say right? Okay, but I said it in one sentence, Jason. Right?
Oh, well, that's
So
all right then. That's okay.
that's okay. But like, to me, it's all about go in with the helping mindset.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's when you serve them, you serve yourself. It's as simple as that, Jason.
So that's about 10 things there, but that's really
Okay.
cool. It all means the same thing. So I totally concur with you there.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, that was fun.
Yep.
Great session. And like, I hope people can tune in next week where we'll be continually going down this funnel and getting more specific and targeting different elements. Because as I said before, Jason, the sales funnel process, team, everything to do with sales, I believe is the hardest part of business. Many people think is the easiest. No, I believe it's the hardest. There's so many things that need to be done right, done alignment that complement each other, that don't contradict.
Absolutely. Look, I'm really looking forward to next week now. So this time next week, same time, it's the all about helping you solve some more problems, helping your clients build better funnels for today anyway. So we'll see you this time next week. Take care now.
See you all. Thank you.
Yes.